We are joined this morning by Helle Bundgaard. We're going to talk about her ups and downs as well as the founders of the PACE Academy, Dr. Lily Cheng and Dr. Peter Cheng. We'll come back, talk about what we need to do to get up our motivation factor right here on The Breakfast Club. So we will be back after an update of what's happening on the roads of Singapore. Stay with us. A very good morning. This is The Breakfast Club on 938 Live. A very good morning. We are bringing motivation into our studios this morning. We could all do with a dose of motivation. We are joined this morning by Helle Bundgaard. She is, the author of The Motivation Factor, and she's going to tell us all about her rags to riches story and what true riches really mean. We're also joined by the founders of the PACE Academy, Dr. Lily Cheng and Dr. Peter Cheng. Ladies and Mr. Cheng, good morning and welcome into the Breakfast Club.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. So let's talk with Helle first and foremost.
Yeah.
Did you always want to make a lot of money?
Absolutely. I come from a very low resourceful family and money was always an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So my only goal when I started in the IT business was to become successful. And for me, success was, equal to money. And so I did. I strived for that goal. And in my mid-30s, I became an IT millionaire. So I reached really my goal.
Right.
Yeah.
And .com did that wipe everything off the slate?
Absolutely. And that is the thing about motivation. When I became an IT millionaire, it was so motivating and it lasted about 6 months. Then things were back to normal, right? Because then you just have the money and then what?
Okay.
Losing the money, of course, again, was a big demotivator. But after 6 months, things were back to normal again, so to speak.
So tell us about the need to write the story of your rags to riches story, the motivation factor, rags to riches, to rags, and to true riches. So what is true riches to you, Helle?
Well, that's a good question. It's about being purpose-oriented instead of only being goal-oriented, because goal-oriented motivation is only short-term motivation. When you are purpose-oriented, you have a higher, you have something higher than just the goal. And that is internal motivation, as we call it as well. Yeah.
So bringing it to Singapore, is it the first time you're tying up perhaps with the PACE Academy? Let's speak with Dr. Lily Cheng first and foremost. Don't want to sideline Peter too much. Dr. Cheng, why the need for motivation in the Singapore context? Aren't we a motivated people?
I think when we were thinking about, working with Helle, we thought she brought in something that is really the new benchmark. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we agree or disagree that Singapore weather is motivated, but we thought that what was very interesting was we are always talking about employee engagement. And we are always asking ourselves, could we actually make our workforce more engaged? And with the millennium coming in. So I thought the heart of organization are really people, right? Whether you are millennium, you're ex-boomer, why? So we thought that the heart of it is how could we help people to be more self-directed, have control over their motivation. And I think this is really critical because I think at the end of the day, if all of us could be motivated, very passionate in what we're doing, we actually drive the business for the organizations we represent. Yeah.
Peter, I have to ask you, Lily brought up the issue of the millennial group. Let's talk about the motivation factor with what we are seeing these days with disruption. As motivated as I am, as geared up as I am to get that job, get it and find that it no longer exists. How do I stay motivated?
I think this is, again, a very great question. And that's why we tied up with Helle and their framework in the finding. They find that there are 4 levels to the hierarchy of motivation. If you imagine with me at the bottom of the triangle is the energy, where they say the energy drain is what drains a person. Yeah. And then the second level is about needs. We all have different needs. Third level suggests about talents, our innate talents, and finally, at the highest level is the purpose. So when people are no longer finding themselves motivated, there's a good chance from research by Helle and his team that they probably are not aware of what drains them, and that what drains them certainly has an impact on how they got demotivated. So really, it's not just about money; it's about the intrinsic factor, about finding what drains you, manage that, and connect with your talent and your purpose.
Helle, I have to ask you, it sounds tiring. How long can you keep this up? Being motivated, being gung-ho, showing that you're interested in every and all things. How do you maintain that? Is it even possible? Is there no downtime?
Well, yeah, I mean, we all, even though, I work with this and I invented all of this, yes, of course, there is energy drainers.
Right.
But the things here is that now I know how to manage it. And this is what is with the hierarchy of motivation, that you get a structure in where you know what to pursue and what to avoid to stay motivated, also towards goals you haven't set yourself. Because 90% of the goals that we are facing on a daily basis, it comes from the outside. Yeah.
So tell us what the motivation factor is and what prompted you to write this book.
Yes. Well, it all came to me one morning. I went for a run and I was thinking about the brain as, this is, if you look at the brain like a computer, we all have the same hardware, no matter if we are from Singapore, Denmark, America, or whatever. The structure in the brain is the same. What differentiates us as human beings is the software, you can say, that the upbringing, the culture, are you married, all those kind of things. And this is where I decided I want to make people a super user of their brain. And then I I spent 4 years to just studying into the whole neuropsychology field. And found out that there is these 3 layers in the brain, the reptile, the emotional, and the human part of the brain. And if you look at what really drains us from energy, it's all, a lot of it comes from the emotional part of the brain, right?
So does this mean we have to be robots and automatons and cut that human factor out immediately, which technology seems to be doing these days? Is that a need in order to stay on the top of our game?
No. You can say that what we need to know is that what is going on in the emotional part of the brain, because it always holds the upper hand.
Right.
And what we really want is access to the human part of the brain, where we can, where we can learn new things, where we are prone to change, where innovation is, and where we think out of the box. All those kind of things that we are pursuing is in the human part of the brain. But a lot of things that goes on is in the emotional part of the brain. So if we don't have a system where we kind of can identifying what this is about, we are never even getting access to the human part of the brain. And this is what this is all about. It's to identifying
So
this.
not cut it out, but access it.
Absolutely, yeah.
On an optimum level.
Yeah.
Peter, in the Asian culture, the books seem to be the be-all and end-all in order to gain success. Thinking out of the box. Can we do that here in Asia? Are we doing it?
Yeah, certainly. In fact, as what Helle mentioned about making people being super user of the brain, and the brain is essentially global. Everybody, whether you're Asian, you're European, you're Caucasian, you're in the Middle East.
What of the human factor?
Yeah, it's a human factor. Yeah.
In the Asian context, do we give credence to our emotions when we are in a professional setting?
At the moment, I think from what we've seen in our OD work, most of these key emphasis is about driving performance, right? And every time you got a team coming together, how can we perform better?
Right.
And it's oftentimes overlooked. So although more there's a need for that, and certainly whether we're Asians or we are Americans or Europeans, there's a great need for a motivation factor to be taken into account as well.
Lily, how do we tap on this? How is the PACE Academy helping senior executives do this? And why did you tie up with the motivation factor?
One of the key reasons that we found, as we even work with very, very senior executives globally, and especially in Singapore, we find that a lot of people are working on what I call, no more energy, very low level of energy. And one of the
We're not happy people.
I think we are satisfied but we may not be motivated.
Okay.
I think we do, because I pride myself as a Singaporean because I think we are really world class, because I travel
Sure.
and I know that we are doing very well, excellently well. I think what we are saying here is, could we do better to be even happier? Could we even stay motivated because of we have a direct access and a direct influence? And so what we did was really excellent, was to help people to see where are your energy drainers. And there's one thing that's very unique here is that there is no assessment tool that is measuring strategic connection.
Okay.
So for example, today, Keith, I may ask, you are working with Medicorps. And so where is that strategic connection? We like you to do the assessment and you will see where you stand.
Right.
Meaning that strategic connection, meaning you're very aligned, you're able to work out the issues, you're able to address what really have hurt in terms of your need. And then are you using your talent? And I could see that you're definitely using your talent.
You're very kind.
Yeah. And it's true, because we have been listening to you for years, and but again, I think what is so unique is a lot of people are talking about talents in the organization, but they forget that actually it is inert. Meaning, at the end of the day, how do you make talents, right? Talents are not competence. And that's what I really like about this research. A lot of people are going to competency-based, but they forget that actually, naturally, you and I, we have natural talents. And if senior leaders could see that they're tapping on their talents, you will see three things. There will be professional will. There will be what you want to be, the best, number one in the world. And three, people pay for you, economic engine. And that's what Jim Collins said. And I think we are still in the search of that. I think we have worked with a lot of very senior executives who come to us as, I can't retain them. I can't retain my talents.
Right.
And I think here people need to start to realize that it's not about competence anymore, but it's really about their natural flair, their talents that you could leverage on, access to it, and it will be effortless in retaining them.
So how do we do this? We're going to find out in about 2 minutes after an update of what's happening in the world and on the roads of Singapore. We are speaking this morning with Helle Bundgaard. She is the lady behind, or rather the author of The Motivation Factor, From Rags to Riches to Rags to True Riches. And we are speaking to the founders of the PACE Academy, Dr. Lily Cheng and Dr. Peter Cheng. Keep it right here on 938 Live. If you have a question for our guests about how to stay on top of your game, at least motivated, give us a call. 669-11938 is the number. We're going for a short break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us. A very good morning.
938 Live. Be informed.
Back into the Breakfast Club on 938 Live, talking motivation this morning and how you can keep that up. How do you tap the human emotional part of the brain? We are speaking with the author of The Motivation Factor, Helle Bundgaard, and Dr. Lily Cheng and Dr. Peter Cheng. They're the founders of the PACE Academy, who've tied up with Helle to bring The Motivation Factor into Singapore. Doctors Chengs, welcome back into the program. Ella, when we talk about motivation, we talked about keeping it up and tapping on the human part of it in order to retain talent and things of that nature. How difficult is it to spot? We're told we're a bit of an introverted kind of a workforce. How does that work for you and with us?
Well, the thing with motivation is that we have been looking for so many years to find a one-size-fits-all kind of way to look into motivation. But motivation is individual and it is situational, right? You can come to work very demotivated, and when you walk away from work, you're very motivated, and the other way around. So what we did was that putting words to those motivational factors can be hard for people. If I ask you, what is your needs? What is your talents? It can be hard to put words to. So what we developed was an assessment that is able to put words to those needs that is linked to the emotional part of the brain and the talents that is linked to the human part of the brain.
669-11938. Don't be afraid if we put you on hold. We've got a caller waiting patiently. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Can I have your name, please?
Hi, I'm Tara.
Sarah, you have a question for our panel this morning.
Yes, I do. I am currently working for a new company, and I'm just
Yes, go ahead. Hello.
So, hi, yes,
Yeah.
because I'm working for a new company as a manager. So
Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, what are good tips for, to motivate my team members? And I haven't exactly proven my worth yet. I'm still new in the company. So I was wondering, like, what can I do to, motivate everyone and get them to trust me?
Okay, how do you gain trust? How do you keep your team motivated as a new player on the market? And perhaps how do you keep yourself motivated in all of this as well? I'd like to ask each and every one of you what your thoughts are. Ella, what would you tell Tara?
Very true. You need to find out your own motivation, because that is important to understand other people's motivation. And motivation is two things. It's to look at what is triggering you, and you can look at that in your workforce as well. What is triggering the people? When do they react in a way that is not very fruitful in a situation? And then you would know what demotivates them. When you look at what really motivates them, you have to see when they shine, when they got a lot of energy into things, when they do work that you can see that flow effortless for them, then you know that is where they have their talents.
What about, how do you really define motivation? Is it an internal issue? Because someone can have this happy face, driven, laughing, talking, being as keen as they are, but is that really motivation, having this demeanor of unicorns and rainbows all the time?
You mean if the appearance?
Yes,
people
always
who
having this
smile.
is that happy demeanor? Is that motivation? Is that motivation?
Well, you can certainly do a lot by smiling, that's for sure, because that sends some signals to the brain
Right.
and releases some happy hormones. But anyway, you can say that you can see that people are motivated when they are really not complaining, when they are really doing something. You can say doing something extra in the sense that they think out of the box. They are innovative. They are on top of their game. Then you can spot motivation, because that is what it looks like.
Lily, have the millennials got it down packed? Do they know something more than we do?
Well, in my office, we work with 80% of millennials.
Right.
And you tell me. It was really interesting when I started working with them, because I was like very much the new manager that just asked the question just now. And so I was trying to figure out, what is it that I need to keep them? Do they have something more than I have? And you know what? After 3 years, I keep bringing in people at that age, and they keep leaving me every time after 3 years. So I kind of tell myself, there must be something that, what is it, And voila, you know what I found out? They are more purpose-driven than my age group, which I wouldn't tell you how old at the moment. But you see, what they know is that they are very interestingly very purpose-driven. So what I did was I changed the way I recruited and I retained my staff. So what I did was I say, realizing your career aspiration with pace. And I managed right now to keep people for 14 years. 7 years. I mean, more than that. And you start to attract people who are really intelligent to your team, because then you start to realize, you know what, once they are strategic connected with you, there will be frustrations. And that's what I really like about the motivation. They're very authentic. You can be honest about it. It gives you a psychological safety to say that, hey, I can raise my hand and say that what I dislike about the behavior. And can I do something together as a group? We could. And that was what we did. And I really believe that the millennials are on track. And you'll be amazed that they are ready to actually have a professional view. If we could help them and help them to see that their talents could be leveraged on, and they could be who they want to be, and not just because we want them to be. And I think it's a partnership as in all work here.
Peter, do you concur in the sense that is it easier for a small and medium-sized enterprise a manager in an SME to maintain the strategic connection with his subordinates and with the organization, Or is it easier to do this in a large organization?
I guess it boils down to the relationship between their supervisors or equal managers and leaders with them. I think the baseline is really spending time with your people. If you're a team of 5 people, 500 people, 20 people, I think what separates them is the time the manager leader spends time with them.
Right.
Yeah, so if you could spend time with them, having conversation with them, knowing what are their key needs or what drives them, what are their the energy enhancers, particularly most important, the purpose in the job, the intrinsic part of that makes a lot of connection with them. You can be in a small company, but you got no time for people. It doesn't make as good compared to one who's in a multinational who spend time with the people. So it's about relationship.
We were talking about the experiential need of people these days earlier on in the program about, the novelness. People need to keep things fresh. Is that possible, Elle, in a professional setting? Keeping things fresh and exciting for the millennial workforce?
Yes, as Lily also said, I think the millennials particularly, they have a very short concentration span,
Okay.
right? And that makes it even more important for them to be able to link into this purpose part where they can kind of ignore all these little distractions that comes along and really, be motivated on the long term, finding this, as we said, this higher purpose in things.
So you've been coaching more than 400 senior executives. Is there a common thread between all of these people that keeps them motivated or demotivated, as the case may be?
Yeah, it's always about managing people,
Okay.
right? But the next thing is that they're all these senior executives, they're always this about what's next. They have reached their goals. They have become CEO of this big company.
Right.
And then what's next for me? The same that I had when I became an IT millionaire. This about what's next. Then I reach my goals. Then what? What am I going to do?
You wrote a book.
I wrote a book called The Motivated Brain. Yes.
If you want to try and get your finger or your pulse on the motivation factor, Elle is in Singapore for the launch of the Motivation Factor's first Asian partnership with development experts. Of course, Pace Consulting is having a half-day symposium on the 22nd of September from 1:30 to 5:30 p.m. If you want more information, Lily, how can they do that? Do they just Google Pace Academy into their search engines?
Yes, I think all you just have to say is Pace OD Consulting.
Right.
And then, on the website, you should be able to access to it. If not, please call us 6278-8289 and any of our staff will be happy to.
And if you are serious about putting a fire under your rear end, this is the place to be. 22nd of September, 1:30 to 5:30 p.m. Just Google Pace OD Consulting. They're conducting a half-day symposium on the motivation factor. Dr. Lily Cheng, Dr. Peter Cheng, Helle Bundgaard, thank you so much for making us so motivated here this morning. I'm going to leave in just a while and just crash out after keeping this pace up. Peter, Helle, and Lily, thank you so much for making it. And you've been listening into The Breakfast Club on 938 Live. I'm Keith De Souza. Have a good rest of the day.
The news when it happens on 938 Live.